Hey everybody, it's Brendan from Panic at the Disco. While on tour, I've been spreading some good in the neighborhood with my friends at State Farm. They already had this fire building for so long. All they need is that little spark. And if I can be that spark, how beautiful. Click to see. Come on, click.
energy harnessed from the earth. Nature Valley.
Are we live? I can hear myself. We're live. Hello, everyone.
Let's get away from that cinematic, superly cinematic music.
It feels appropriate.
It just felt right. It just felt right.
So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Thoughts Patrol. We are back. A little late night tonight.
Pizza rolls.
Yes, pizza rolls. Oh, boy. It's going to be one of those podcasts. Anyways, we are back. Sorry, I think last week I just fell asleep.
We both did, because you started falling asleep, but I was already like, I'm going to take a nap too, and then I think I woke up at like 1 a.m. like, okay.
Probably too late.
Probably for the better.
But 12:15 is appropriate. So anyway, we are back, and we will try to do another one next week too. But let's get through this one before we start advertising next one. But speaking of advertising, this week's episode is 100. I'm very excited to announce our new sponsor for all of our. Well, actually, we're only contractually signed, obligated.
Obliged is my phone.
Obliged.
There we go.
Either way, Yoo-hoo, remember the chocolate? It's not milk, but like chocolate water drink.
Chocolate drink.
Has agreed to sponsor our next 5 videos, and then after the 4th, we can actually do another signing and get it done again. So either way,
rich in calcium, vitamin D, and tasting fucking awesome.
Do you Yoo-hoo, which is actually their thing, and I have to say that. Anyways, okay, so let's go through the topics today.
We have topics?
I have a lot.
I just press buttons.
Okay.
And eat food.
So I'm going to talk about something. I should love it. Like well, that actually kind of works with the segment. Everyone knows that Kanye West and Lil Pump song, I Love It, which is them in those Roblox costumes walking down the hallway.
She's such a fucking hoe.
They did it live tonight on last night on Saturday Night Live. And if you've heard the song, there's a lot of swearing in it. Now, that's fine for me, and it's fine for the internet and whatever.
It's very calm swearing, mind you. But
yeah, it's not like
gonna fucking kill someone.
Right. It's kind of just like, well, I guess they're calling her a hoe. But either way.
It's calmly calling her a hoe.
Calmly insulting.
They're like, you're a hoe. You're a fucking
either way,
hoe.
So they attempt to do this song live, and first of all, the first verse is by Lil Pump, and Lil Pump is trash live. I enjoy Lil Pump. Like, I think his music is okay. I don't think he's very talented, but his music's actually kind of okay. And you're like, okay, this is entertaining.
All right.
But so many of his verses and lyrics are just like swear. So there's 10-second, maybe not 10 seconds, but 5-second moments where he just like takes the mic away, and there's just no words.
Because he has to.
Right. And then Kanye West comes on, and Kanye West is a little more of a showmanship. I think live he's pretty good. But he has just as many swear words. So like he has to stop. They have to alter the words of the song. Like the chorus of the song has to get changed because the regular studio version has swear words. Either way, I like that song, the actual recording of it, and the music video, because it's so stupid that it's good.
It's got to be weird to have to program yourself to,
right,
every time I swear, not necessarily not swear so much as you have an instinct to pull the microphone away during that and maybe not say it, or maybe that's what he had to train himself to do, is not say it like some people might have done, but rather just pull the microphone away instead of not saying it.
Maybe.
As a person that's not trained in live stage performances of songs with explicit lyrics, maybe. I don't know what to do with that.
Couldn't tell you. So like I should like this one because it's so bad, but this is one of those things where it's so bad and it's not good also. Like the real one is so bad it's good, and this live version where they're wearing like water bottle costumes.
I was gonna say, also is that one? Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. I hate stuff that makes me cringe, and I cringe the whole time. And I like everything Kanye West does. If you look at what he's been, he was cut from SNL because he wore a MAGA hat, and he said like, "I will not be bullied. You can't tell me to not talk, whatever." I think what he's doing is great. I'm not going to get into this huge pro-Trump thing, which I am, but that really made me cringe. That whole music video, I will never watch it again.
I think it's funny though, because they're doing the kind of like, let's just do this thing, because it's a stupid song, but it's like they know it.
Yeah,
it's just meant to be. Hey, that's a song we did together. Stupid or not, I know. We all know that feeling.
I don't think that was meant to be like a radio hit.
No, it just
meant to be a
became
stupid
it.
song.
Yeah, that looked like they had an inside joke,
right?
And said, "Let's do it and people are gonna make it, and they did.
And then they started doing it live on SNL.
And that's why it doesn't need to be good, or it doesn't, they don't need to. Like they wore water bottle costumes because they said, I'm assuming, we don't care. This is just hell yeah, we did this. Oh, you want us to perform it? Okay.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. Either way, moving along. I have this written down. I don't really know if I have anything much to say about it. I'll get your opinion for once. Bill Cosby sentenced to jail for 3 to 10 years. What is he, like 80 years old?
So that's 3 years to death.
Is he going to last? I mean, he's pretty old. Now, I don't know. I listen to some people saying, like, he's so old, just give him house arrest, call it a day.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think, you know what, you did the crime. I don't care how old you are. Do the time. I guess that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, I understand, like, oh, he's just so old. But I think he still did something, you know, not so bueno. And maybe that is a death sentence. Maybe he deserves it. Maybe, I'm not saying kill him, but maybe he should die in jail. Not, like, die of old age, but while in jail. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying he should die. I'm saying he could die.
Yeah, that's actually mildly accurate. Either way. So, yeah, Bill Cosby. Check.
Speaking of tragedy, I have something to show you. This is a surprise to me, and maybe you.
You should chew more while you speak into that mic. People want to... Gross.
Well, last time I was told they do want to hear that.
The fans demand chewing noises.
The tragedy is that while setting up for this live stream, this hot sauce was on the floor with its cap off. The Hellfire hot sauce, fiery fool, hottest sauce in the world without extract, seems more jellied than it should be. So I'm not sure if this is good anymore. I'm gonna blame the cat. I'm not sure if it was the cat.
It's still fine.
There was a party that might have knocked it over. Yeah, it's moving in there, regardless of possible mold. I don't know how long it's been like that, but
Just last night.
that is a tragedy. Anyways, there's also a few spots of hot sauce on the floor. I mean, no, there's not at all.
The maid cleans that up. Anyway, so next up,
Just put some more on there.
not sure if this is I'm bleeding.
Oh,
Did you know that Dunkin' Donuts will actually no longer be called? I don't have any like crazy input on this, but
I did hear about this.
Dunkin' Donuts will now just be called Dunkin'. They'll still serve donuts, but they want the emphasis on their coffee.
But now it just sounds like the guy you buy drugs from in high school.
Hey, yo, Dunkin', you got that 8?
They're trying to popularize themselves with that social stigma of like, I need sugar.
Didn't
Go to my dealer, Duncan. he's on Layton.
That is a very dealer-esque name. Ergo, that's your word.
Vis-a-vis.
It's kind of like, maybe it's not. Like, remember Kentucky Fried Chicken originally was branded Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No, then it's
and
branded
then
as
like
KFC.
in late 90s, they were, or not, yeah, it's somewhere in there. Don't correct me on the dates because I'm sure I'm wrong, but whatever, I don't care. They were like, hey, people are really like, not afraid, but like trying to avoid fried foods. We actually need to change the name to KFC.
I think
But then it's still like on signs KFC, but the actual brand, they now reverted it back
okay.
because they realized people don't care. Like there was a little craze for a little while, but then they're like, you know what, Americans don't care. We like fried chicken. And
I actually remember hearing that it was because of the chicken part of it, not the fried part, because apparently they used to my understanding,
I think you're confusing two stories, but continue.
they might have been using genetically altered chickens that were like born featherless and I think like limbless maybe. I don't really remember exactly. I have hot sauce on my mustache now.
Gross.
I can feel it burn. And so they had to change the name to because it wasn't real chicken. But if you call it something a genetically altered chicken, you're already affirming that it's a chicken.
KFGA.
Yeah.
GAC. That doesn't have such a ring to it.
Kentucky Fried FDA approved chicken alternative.
Silence your phone.
Oh, here it is. My pocket. Go figure.
I think when I heard something like that, it was those like wings that they sell frozen in a bag. And legally they couldn't call them wings because that's like, hey, this is like chicken meat. And they're using like such fake meat
Yeah.
that legally they couldn't call them wings.
Oh, okay.
So they called them wings. So instead of a I,
WY.
WY. So they're playing it off like, oh, we're just kind of changing the word up. Like, look at our goofy spelling. Buy our food. But really, it's like a legal thing where they can't call them that. So I think it was pretty good branding on their idea, I guess, to like do that.
Yeah.
But really, it's kind of for a nefarious, one of my favorite words, reason.
And that was for Tyson, right?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm pretty sure that
Probably.
was Tyson that has the wings appetizers or the anytizers, whatever they are.
Ooh, I have plans Thursday night. With a cutie. Okay, anyway.
With some wings.
with some wings.
Wang.
Some wings.
I'm very happy they aren't selling frozen wangs.
And that'll be all. Good night. Okay. No. I was listening to this interesting fact. They were saying for a long, long, long time that the divorce rate is going up, right? It was at like 50, 55% by some studies. I think 51% was kind of the going number, and then it went up for a little while. It's now actually, for the first time in 18 years, going down.
Okay.
And just looking at that one stat, you think that's a good thing. But then if you kind of dig deeper into it, you find out that there's a lot of reasons going into it. The main ones, there was this like 20-minute thing I listened to, and kind of explaining the ins and outs of how you get that stat. But the main things I took away from it were, I'm sorry, not 18 years. The divorce rate is down 18%. I don't know.
Oh, only people that have been married for less than 18 years. I don't know. Down to.
What is happening is people are getting married less. So while the people who the percentage of people who are married, the percentage of those people who get divorced is going down. The percentage of people getting married in general is going down.
Yeah.
So
It's a trend that should be following suit.
That kind of makes me think that the people who are totally into getting married, those are the ones who are staying together. Good. I want every marriage to kind of work.
You're saying the difference, the people that attributed to that higher divorce rate aren't getting married in the first place now.
Yeah, the people who would probably... Well, it also brought up, to kind of explain that, that
the infidels.
a lot of people, just because they have kids, that doesn't mean they're getting married anymore. I think back in the
We're
day...
used to a little bit more.
Back in the day, like if you got
Stuck
pregnant...
with this person now.
If you got pregnant, it was, I got to put a ring on it. We have to be together for this kid. Which I generally think is actually kind of a good thing.
Sounds like they should have put a ring on it in a different way before that, though. It's not a ring. You know what I mean?
Oh, boy. This is a kid's show.
This is about kids now.
Oh, yeah.
What?
So a lot of people are having kids without getting married, cohabitating, but then they also brought up how cohabitating is actually a lot less stable, and how...
Because it presents the option to run away. Well, you're not simply saying it's not running away, but...
Right.
Tweet about.
It is easier.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to get the government involved.
It's a safe step.
Right.
Well, if we're just living together and not married, I can always leave for something else. Destroy the child.
Corrupt them all. I still think having a kid with someone is a bigger deal than getting married.
You literally created genetic material that
You created someone else.
paper trail bonds you forever, and until they're dead and the other person's dead.
Right.
As dark as that is, that's
Like I think getting married, I mean, that's obviously a huge deal, but people can just go to Vegas and get married, and then they could just end it and not a big deal. But like if you actually have a kid, I think that's a bigger deal. So it's kind of flipped now where people are having kids more often, but then not getting married. So I don't know. I guess that's just
12 and unmarried and pregnant. New MTV show. Funny enough too, though, if you analyze that further, the marriage and partnership thing is all like a human created thing. We decided we could live with someone and mate forever, whatever the fuck they that they say about that. Whereas being prolific and creating children is biology.
Sure.
Biology didn't involve marriage. That's not like...
Explain why some animals have one single partner for life.
I don't know why.
Spiritual. There's something spiritual about it. Boom! Religion.
That's my spirit animal.
Okay, next. I don't know where I was going with this topic.
I kind of might have taken it a weird way, too.
That's what she said.
Hey.
Ayo.
You tell me.
What was I talking? I was going to go on this big rant about canology. Oh, no. Okay. Here's what I'm going to talk about.
Cannons?
And how bad the Terminator timeline is.
Oh.
Do you know the Terminator? Like how...
Not
Terminator
anymore, no. I don't know the current
canon
one.
works? Okay, so Terminator 1 came out.
Sweet.
And Terminator 2 was a direct sequel.
Yep.
Those two are kind of the base.
And they work with each other? I mean, like, to tell for the story, for the, hey, this is what we're correcting.
That's canon.
There was only, like, one timeline at that point, or
Yes,
two, I guess.
that's base.
To change
that doesn't...
it.
Nothing changes those. Then Terminator 3 came out. In one continuity...
And nothing was the same.
Yeah. Some people liked that one, some people didn't. So then there was the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles
Yep,
TV show.
Yep.
That one was a different continuity or different
Okay.
canon. That one actually pretended that Terminator 3 never happened.
Oh.
So that one still uses Terminator 1 and 2, but then uses a new, like, those are the next continuity.
As if Terminator 3 is the one that's going to be retconned? As if?
Technically, Terminator 3 is retconned in that continuity.
Yeah.
But then there's Terminator Salvation,
Okay.
which was the one with Batman.
Yep.
That was a prequel, which I think is technically canon for all of them.
What I can't remember is was that a prequel to 1 or to 2?
1.
Okay.
Yeah. But technically it's in the future.
Yeah, because doesn't...
Yeah, it gets goofy. But it's still John Connor before he goes back in time. Before number 1. So I think you'd still call it a prequel.
Okay.
Even though it does take place after.
And then also, I mean, at least Terminator has the catch-all, of different timelines exist, therefore anything's allowed to exist because of that, quote-unquote, but it still fucks it up.
That's kind of like Terminator Genesis. Because Terminator Genesis then is all over the place with time jumping, and it really doesn't make sense. You can't make sense of it.
Okay.
But it also includes stuff from Terminator 3.
Huh.
So that one is... So you literally have two continuities going at the same time. They're going back and forth, but then that one curb stomps all kinds of facts, and you really can't make sense of that one. You really can't make sense of time travel in general.
Once you involve the alternate dimensions and realities aspect, then that's like saying Terminator's the same... could be the same story as Avengers because of alternate timelines.
I guess, yeah. That's true.
Therefore, everything. That's all. That's all it really makes it fall into.
Pretty much. So it's, yeah, very all over the place. But then I guess they're coming out with a movie now
Oh.
that takes place in the Sarah Connor Chronicles continuity.
Timeline? All right.
So it seems like they made the first movies, and they made another movie, and then they're like, screw that continuity, let's do this one. But then they said, screw that continuity, let's go back to this one. And now they're saying, screw that continuity, let's go back to this one. I don't think most people who are going to see the movies dig that deep like I kind of did to find out like continuities and stuff.
What you're saying is women are directing this continuity.
I didn't say it. You did.
I did.
Ayo.
We can't decide.
Can you name, aside from comics, another series that has two continuities going at the same time?
Two or more, or just two?
Two or more.
I was gonna jump to Legend of Zelda, but I'm not sure if that definitely has different timelines. I'm not sure if they count as continuities though, because they're not necessarily continuing.
There's a video you should watch. It's all about Legend of Zelda continuity, and it's all based around the choices you make in Ocarina of Time.
Okay. I know I've seen a few things on it. I think I've seen the timeline. I'm not sure if I've watched too many videos on it, though.
Right.
But I know I've seen the actual depiction, the picture, like the official Nintendo timeline of, like, this is the best way we're going to explain it.
The one I'm talking about is Star Trek.
Okay.
They have the movie continuity,
Oh.
and then they also have the TV show continuity. And the TV shows from what I understand, I've never actually watched any of them.
Yeah.
But it's like they'll have a series that follows one crew, and then like 1,000 years later, they'll have a different crew, but it's technically in the same continuity.
Okay.
But then the movies are not a sequel. They're not related to. They're not in the same universe as the TV shows.
Okay.
I had a big argument, and I actually changed something in the library I used to work at because the person who programmed them thought they were. I saved it.
You did.
And I actually made a new rule in the library and said, no, they are not sequels. It's a different continuity. So we switched up the Dewey Decimal.
And the next rule I made was I'm not working here anymore.
Boom! Anyways, I feel no one understood that, and we used the word continuity way too many times.
Continuing.
We could talk about what a retcon is, even though I've done that a million times. No, we're going to talk about Venom, the movie with Tom Hardy.
The one that goes like, "We are Venom."
Are you?
We. I can't make my voice that deep.
I think it looks kind of good, but
It
I'm
looks
not.
cool.
Here we go talking about continuity again. I'm in love with like the Marvel MCU,
Oh, yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they're all connected. And then you have this character that's Marvel, and then I mean he's directly in the comics related
Yeah.
to Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3.
Not some weird, completely offshoot character
his
in
outfit
one
is
comic.
meant to look like
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
And now because it's Sony and Marvel doesn't own it, they're just making that. I mean, the movie looks good, but I don't think you can really. I mean, maybe they can. I'm skeptical, and I'm still going to see it. But I'm really just not that excited for it because I want him in the main universe so much that I'm like, I don't want
What I'm expecting and or hoping for is that they're going to encapsulate the story as much as possible so it could go either way. So they're not necessarily going to draw, like I said, this is an assumption. I'm assuming they're not going to draw any hard lines that take it out of the MCU, but they're just not drawing lines into it either.
So like,
That way it's a standalone, quote-unquote, prequel to other stories, could be.
but
And
they
then
could shimmy it
yeah,
in there.
as long as they don't draw hard lines that need to be retconned later, because he didn't know this because of this or something. Like, no, if they just keep the movie as encapsulated as possible, as
Yeah.
the story about
Isolated
Eddie Brock
in a safe
himself
space.
and a very small encounter, that can keep it very usable later if they do agree on that, as long as they do keep it small.
See, I get that. I don't want that.
No, I know.
I think,
but I'd rather have that over them disassociating it completely.
I would. I disagree. I respect your opinion.
I fucking disagree.
I think movies like that, they have to have some level of connection. You don't have to have cameos from Tony Stark in
Yeah.
every movie. You don't have to have Phil Coulson going to Tahiti. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference.
Yep.
What a wonderful place. No one will get that reference. But I think there's been world-changing events in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Even
Yeah.
in Ant-Man, which is pretty isolated, they shimmied in a Falcon cameo, which I think was done perfectly, and they talked about like them dropping a city out of the sky. Like, that movie was very isolated. It was a heist movie, but they still kind of had... In these movies, you almost have to reference the Avengers.
Yeah. Especially for timeline reasons, too.
Yeah, because it's during the... Right now, currently, it's the snapping.
Mm-hmm.
So half of all life is existent. Like, that's a world-changing event.
I can't think of any good Thanos lines to try to say right now.
I know what it's like to lose.
I know what it's like to lose.
To feel so desperate.
As a person that was told that I look like Thanos with a bald head.
A little bit.
Because he's bald. I think that's the only reason. That and a beard at all, I guess, kind of goes with it. I need to learn more.
He's got a big chin, and I think your beard...
Just matches, yeah. I'm also not as bulky as, maybe in a bad way, as Thanos.
Stocky.
There you go. I'm chunky. I'm fluffy. I need to learn more Thanos lines.
Here's my rant. I'm pissed. This is... Okay.
This is me now.
Remember Gabriel Iglesias? Whatever his name was? The guy who
Gabriel-
said,
yeah.
Okay, here's what
fluffy.
Here's what pisses me off. In his early specials... No, I'm not saying... I'm definitely not in great shape, right? I'm not saying like I'm some bodybuilder, I work out 10 times a day.
What?
Definitely not. But he was kind of making fun of people in his earlier specials. Like, he was like, oh, I could have a hot body. I could work out for 5 hours. But instead, I like to watch TV and eat chips. And look at me, I'm happy. Like he made it
romanticizing that.
He made it a joke, like how people who are working out and like taking care of their bodies are like wasting their time when you could just be fluffy and happy.
And now we have hashtag body posy.
Is it posy? I like it.
I've seen that too. Body.
Yeah. So
Positivity is too big of a word.
you can't spell it.
No positivity.
People are too dumb.
Positive what?
People are too dumb and not getting married.
Because they're fat.
Maybe. Can't fit in the wedding dress. Wedding's off.
I don't know how to spell things. All I do is eat Cheetos.
So he was going on this bit. He was like making fun of people in shape,
not even
saying like how
sarcasm.
great it is to be fluffy in like some of his earlier specials. Okay. Ooh, this is gonna segue really nicely because I thought about the next three topics or
I
two
do
topics.
I do like segways. I only rode one once, but I like them.
Oh my god, go away. So he was making fun of people in shape. We are so off topic.
That's what I do.
He's making fun of people in shape. Then, like a few years ago, when he lost all that weight because he went to the doctor or something and said, like, you're going to die, he then goes on stage and is bragging about how he works out and it lost like 100 pounds. He still weighs like 600 probably.
But he didn't make fun of himself.
But then he's like patting himself on the back, saying like, oh, you guys should be proud of me because I'm now working out. You can't do both, which segues into you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Bitches
Which
love cake.
always confused me, that saying.
Okay.
You know what the saying kind of means, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have two opposite things that are like one or the other. You
Yeah.
can't have both. But that saying always didn't really make sense to me because, like, oh, I can have cake and then I can also eat it.
I think it's meant to imply that like you wouldn't be buying your own cake or something or making your own cake.
It's meant to be like you can't keep your cake if you eat
okay.
it.
Oh, I never
I looked
thought about it like that.
I looked into it quite a bit.
Bless me.
And
Excuse me.
found out that other cultures and other languages do have a same phrase. And I think the Russian one, this one stuck out to me, is you can't sit in two chairs.
Okay.
Which kind of means the same thing. Like
Which, if you're fat enough, you can.
fluffy enough.
Fluffy enough.
So like I think that one almost makes more sense.
Yeah.
But then someone was also talking about how in other cultures they have the cake eat it too, but it's in reverse. It's like you can't eat your cake and
And
also
still have
have it.
it, yeah.
Yeah. So that one makes more sense, but it's not as poetic sounding.
Because in one sentence you can have a cake and then eat it too, but not
Right.
not at the same time
You
of
can't
existence.
eat
in
your
one
cake.
sentence you can.
You can't eat your cake and then also have it.
In this timeline you can't.
Continuity.
Whoa!
What?
I'm gonna check to make sure we're getting audio on our feed. By the way, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure we are.
that should be,
We got one comment, which is fine. Just want to make sure that we're.
Most of these late night ones, we don't have too.
I know it shouldn't be. I just wanted to make sure that.
Oh.
I'm gonna check to make sure we're getting audio on our feed. By the way, I'm pretty sure we are.
That should be.
We got one comment, which is fine. Just want to make sure.
Perfect. We're good. Golden.
Sounds like we're getting audio
Sounds like we're getting.
without the static hiss that I used to get before, because non-professional
Okay.
things.
I don't think this has too much to do with much. Telltale Games has ended. You ever played any of those games?
No, I've seen some of the play of them. That never really appealed to me. I guess not the first ones, at least.
There was just too many of them, I think.
Yeah,
Like, it oversaturated the market. The Walking Dead one was amazing.
I feel like those were another like overly romanticized things. I say romanticized a lot,
Uh-oh.
because it was like, oh, look at this. It's like because they were. I feel like they were portrayed as like simpler games to begin with. Because it was more of like, oh, look
Just
at
choices.
this cell shaded. Yeah, it wasn't exactly first person
There was
shooter.
very
or
few
something.
combat
It was
things.
just a playthrough, I guess, of a really simple Flash game, damn near. And not that they were bad then, just that to me it didn't sound amazing, and especially if it's not gonna look that good anyways. I was like, well, maybe I'll play one eventually, but I'm not in a rush then. If it is just such a simple, what could have been a web page based game then. So I was like, oh, I just never attracted to it, so I never looked into them at all.
I think the story of the first Walking Dead one was actually phenomenal.
Okay.
Talking about continuity, not in the continuity of the show, but in the comics.
When the first one was coming out, funny enough that I haven't heard this mentioned at all yet, I do remember that they had a Back to the Future one. That's kind of one of like their bigger ones before The Walking Dead, and then they were known for like Walking Dead Walking Dead ones only.
The Walking Dead one was really good, and like the guy you play as, spoiler alert, he dies like right at the end.
Okay.
And
Heard
then
about
like
that.
season 2 or the second
Yep.
one, like you play as the girl who you were helping, and then it's kind of now her journey. I don't know. I played the first 2 and they were really good. I still have to play the third one, but then I almost don't want to play the third one because now it just abruptly ended without like a clean finish.
I've also heard too. Then one of the biggest criticisms, according to what I've heard, because I've only seen it on YouTube, I've never played it myself, that apparently almost no matter what you pick, you don't change the outcome of anything. You might in slight ways, or rather, the
Yeah.
way you get to the end, you might change. But apparently, I mean, that's how they continue them.
You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The final guy, like the villain of the final bit in the first game,
Yeah.
is this dude who lost his family, and so he went through some tragic stuff and is now kind of blaming you and this girl who you rescued. Earlier on in the game, you find this car full of food, and it looks like there might have been a person because the car's like still on.
Okay.
And one of the choices you have to make is, will you take the food and supplies from this car or will you leave it? And that's like a huge decision you have to make.
Yeah.
But the people you're with, the people you don't control in the game, no matter what, they're going to take from the car.
All right.
They're going to take some stuff.
So it's like a personal moral thing.
It's a personal moral thing. So at the end, this guy's kind of running through a whole bunch of decisions you made because he's kind of been following you since his food and stuff has been taken. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you take the food, he'll then like blame you for stealing his food. But if you don't take the food, he'll blame you for not stopping your friends who took the food, but there was never an option to do that for you.
Yeah.
So he's going to be mad at whatever decision you make.
Okay.
So I do understand that it's kind of like you get to make all these decisions, but then they don't matter.
Yeah.
But I also understand the game. It's like, if we want to make a sequel, there has to be an ending. So like, otherwise people would end in all these different places and we couldn't make a sequel to that.
It wouldn't tie in, yeah.
Right. Kind of like there's not a Mass Effect 4 because the end of Mass Effect 3 is so like
Different
these
endings.
3 different choices. One of the choices is like half of all of the universe is machines now.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really make a sequel to that because if someone chose a different ending, then all machines are dead.
I'm going to start watching movies, and at any point in time that I feel like there's a choice, I'm just going to pause it and ask whomever I'm watching the movie with, like, what would you do?
Good use of the word whom.
Whom? Should we hijack this ship? Should we save the people on it? Or should we go have a burger and, like, let's find out what they picked? No, I don't want to do that. That's going to make a 1-hour movie take 4 hours because I talk a lot.
I like it.
It's not going to work out at all.
I like it. Okay, here is some. I've had this on here. The only reason I'm going to talk about it, it's not even good, and everyone disagrees with it. But I just want to delete it from my notes because I've had this on here for the past like 10 episodes, but I'd never talk about it.
10 almost episodes or 10 episodes?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have an idea.
I lost track.
I have an idea.
Who am I?
I think all speed limits should be strictly enforced.
Okay.
I think I hate the fact because most laws aren't like, oh, you can kind of break it a little bit. I'm for, in general, less laws, speaking as a libertarian, even though I have a fucking border wall hat on, which is very anti-libertarian. I'm a nationalist libertarian. Anyway, I think speed limits should be strictly enforced because it shouldn't, like, you go to Chicago and it's generally accepted you can go 15 over. Right? You can drive down Putes and it's accepted you can go 5 over.
Yeah.
I don't like that. What I think should happen is most speed limits in every location should be raised.
Yeah.
So you'd have to kind of have some wits and maybe not wits, but like some common knowledge and say, you know what, speed limit says 50, but we kind of let them go 60. Have it say 60, so increase it. But if someone's going 61, they get pulled over.
I think it should be more same concept of, I guess, being strict on it. But to say speed limit, it never felt right to me because speed limit is don't exceed this.
The limit to your speed.
But you're supposed to basically be going that speed.
No.
So it's more, I mean,
that's how it's accepted right now.
There's intolerance.
I want to change that.
I'm talking about going under part 2 though. So okay, speed limit's 25. Let's say that, right?
Mhm.
And you're saying it should be 30 because everyone goes 30 or something. That's fine. what I'm saying is not that it shouldn't max out at 30 or something, but rather it's weird to have a specific number on a varying speed.
Okay.
You know, that's the only thing I'm saying. So
If it says 60, you're saying like most people go 60. Like that's the way it's telling you.
Speed limit is more of speed, not limit. Speed is the
When it
determined speed you should be going, not speed limit. Because limit means everything under is okay. That's what, I mean, I know,
But then
it's
you're
not
going to
actually
take it for driving too slow.
Yeah, you can. And I believe that there is was it 15 miles per hour below, I think.
Yep.
What I'm saying is it should be, if there is a cushion, specify the cushion. So we could say, without changing any of the signs, let's say speed limit 25, but you're allowed 5 above and 5 over, 5 below and 5 above, only because of the you know, there's a varying speed. So it's still max out at something that would be then strictly enforced. It would still max out at 30, and if you're going 31, it could be strictly enforced. But at least there's that, you know.
See, I'm okay with that. I've gotten pulled over for going 4 over.
Yeah.
So I want to completely change the system. I want most of the speeds to go up, and then say, don't go that speed. The speed limit is 30, but you should be driving 25.
Okay.
I want to completely change that because it's kind of like robbing a bank, let's say. Like, you don't even want to get close to pulling out a gun in a bank.
Yeah.
So if the law is don't pull out a gun in a bank, you shouldn't kind of have the gun like right here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for having a gun, but like have it like concealed carry. So if the speed limit is 30, I'm going to be going like 27 because I don't want to accidentally go 30.
Yeah. And that's what a speed limit should mean then. Yeah. You're
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So, but then people will be like, what about a faulty speedometer? Well, you know, what if it says I'm going 30, but I'm really going 34? Well, that's on you.
Yeah.
And why are you going fast enough where you're risking it? I don't want to seem like a Nancy who's like complaining about people going too fast on the road. I think most speed limits should be
Goddamn kids.
But I just don't like the idea of some laws are like there's a gray area. I think a law is like this is the fact.
And a gray area that you're allowed to called on or not called on depending on the day and the time or something.
Right.
Like.
Depending on how the cop is feeling, he'll give you a ticket. If you rob a bank, I keep going back to that. It's
not so cut and dry. No,
that is cut and dry.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like depending on how the cop feels that day.
And then based on like the fact that I was saying, yeah. But yeah. Still, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Depending on how the cop feels that day doesn't determine your sentence.
Yeah.
Like that's the law. You broke it. Go away.
Well, we saw you trying to forcibly make a withdrawal out of someone else's account, but you know what?
I had a good breakfast. Yeah.
We're gonna give you a warning. I wouldn't recommend coming back to this bank for a little bit.
Give it 2 weeks.
You know, come back. The court case, you're allowed to plead to the judge. They might say you had a faulty speedometer.
Right. That's what I got.
For robbing a bank.
So
have a nice day. Thank you. Goodbye.
Pretty much. I mean,
thank you, officer.
The speed limit's just the current laws.
Puts away gun.
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it. I have so many more topics, but I write them down and then okay. Let's finish this off with probably the most real discussion of the day, and I guess that would be the Kavanaugh hearing. Trump's Supreme Court pick, and
the caveat of Kavanaugh.
Ooh. I could go on this for a long time, but I want to make this pretty quick because I don't like this podcast to be too political. What are you doing?
I'm just sitting in the microphone.
Nice, I like it. I love it.
I'm just drinking beer.
What I want to say is, I don't know if he did it, and really. No one, unless you were there, does know. So it's pretty obvious that I'm on the right side of the fence on most things. And generally speaking, I think Kavanaugh is a good pick for Supreme Court.
He's a good boy.
I wanted Amy Cohen. I think she would have been best. She's the most constitutionalist, which is what I like. But I think Kavanaugh was a solid choice. Not as good as Gorsuch, but I think he's a solid choice. Now, if he did do these things that he's being accused of, I want him under the prison. I want him I mean, if he's gang raping people who he spiked the punch at parties, and this woman feared for her life, I obviously don't want this guy as a Supreme Court pick. I want him fully prosecuted and, you know, in jail or worse.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. So I'm kind of okay with this FBI week thing. What I really wanted to get though at is
isn't this his seventh FBI investigation now?
They haven't found anything.
Not investigation so much as background check.
Under the people that were supposedly at these parties, they were under perjury. Is that the right terminology?
Let's go with that.
They said, like, if you lie, you are going to jail. Did this happen? And like 4 witnesses were like, no.
All right.
So now maybe they're lying, maybe they're not. I don't know. So I'm open to all ideas. But where am I going with this? If I were to guess, I don't think he did it. But I don't know also. I think, now this gets on my Alex Jones conspiracy theory thing. I think the left is extremely corrupt, and I'm not saying the right isn't clean either. I want the swamp drained. But I think this is just a last-ditch attempt to try to get him out, and so they could try to get someone in 2018 or 2020. So there's people who are less constitutionalist, aka right-wing, on the Supreme Court.
Let alone the worst part, I think, is the timing and another reason I heard. So I haven't dived too far into all of it, mind you. But one, the timing is pretty ridiculous. They're already like, here we go. Here's the last interview with him before we're possibly submitting him to the Supreme Court judge. I don't care about politics so much. Ignore terminology. So they put him on. They ask him weird questions about things that are unrelated. Whatever. You know, they're doing their vetting process, etc.
Yep.
And then everything's good, I guess. And then a day later, he once, put himself on me at a party 40 years ago. Whoa, hold on. Now you're saying this? So what doesn't make sense the most out of that is that one of her, the whole part about her telling her therapist that before, and it was him, even though in reports it was unnamed. Why then? Is the reason she didn't want to say anything earlier, which could be a valid reason, I guess, to some extent, is it would be harmful to his career. So why now, if you cared about his career before, if that is something that happened, then, hey, he's about to do the biggest thing in his career possible, now let me ruin it.
I agree.
It wouldn't be ruined if he did it,
I agree,
but that means that he should be prosecuted, but...
I agree and disagree. I can have my cake and eat it too. I think if you are a sexual assault victim, you have the right to come out at any time.
No, that is true.
I think, and so if I'm really trying to not go on the right, and he's innocent. I'm trying to see this from all sides. If this did happen, maybe this was the deciding factor that she's like, you know what? It's been 36 years.
No saving him anymore.
But maybe not. Like, I am finally, after 36 years, I finally gained the courage to not let this monster continue.
All right.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I don't think that's what happened. But like I also said before that, I don't know what happened. So I guess my big picture kind of thing is more to people on the left who probably don't listen to this podcast. They probably saw the Border Patrol hat and signed off. That is Border Patrol. I think if you are on the left and you are you're screaming that he's a rapist, he's a monster, ask yourself, is it possible you're wrong? Try to look at it on the other side. What if you are wrong? What if this is fake? And what if the swamp, if you want to use Trump terms, what if they are just trying to completely politicize and ruin this man's life if he did nothing wrong? Mm-hmm. I think I've been pretty fair. I think you guys should be too. And it's fine to be on the left. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Kidding. I think if you... I'm for the Me Too movement. If you're calling out real things. Maybe this is a real one.
Not going to add in jokes.
But
keep going.
Imagine, pretend for a second that this is all fake. this guy's just an innocent guy, but because your side doesn't like him, therefore you're going to just completely smear his entire character. This guy's family is just wrecked, and now there's memes about him crying, and you're calling him a wimp. And I want to believe women. I really do. This is where I kind of disagree with
I
people.
really lost my trust.
This is where I disagree with a lot of people on the right that I like, where they're just like, they're anti this Me Too movement. I'm for the Me Too movement, calling out real things, but I also understand you can't trust everybody. Some people do lie. There was a meme out that had trust women under a picture of Casey Anthony. If you remember her?
I don't know who that is.
Casey Anthony was the woman who allegedly, which she did, killed her own daughter, but was acquitted and like no charges. But like it's kind of like the O.J. Simpson, where everyone knows he did it, but they just couldn't like prove it, or it was a bad court, or whatever. So this lady obviously lied about killing her daughter and said she didn't do it. So I want to believe women. If someone comes forward and says I was sexually assaulted, I was raped, ran a train on, I want to be with you, and I want to, okay, let's arrest these people, let's ruin their lives, let's put them under the prison, like I said.
I want to see that news headline.
But also, I understand that people can be evil, and people can lie for their own gain or for whatever, to acquit themselves. So I'm real in the middle of the road. I disagree with people on the left who are trying to really politicize this and I think ruin this guy's life. But then I'm also against a lot of people on the right who are just like, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying. It's obvious. I still think she's lying, but I'm still open to the idea that maybe she isn't. And if she isn't lying, I'm glad she came forward, and I want this FBI investigation to reveal the truth. And if he is, I'm wrapping up. I know you've been trying to talk. Keep inhaling. And if he did do it, I want him dead. But if he didn't do it, I want him in the Supreme Court. Take it away. Was that?
I want him dead if he did it.
Who brought up? I keep interrupting you. I like it. I love it. Who came up with that? Like, I want him under the prison.
I don't know, actually. Was it you?
No, I stole that from someone. I like that saying, though.
I guess my hardest part is seeing more and more cases of proven to be false or admitted false things later.
Right.
And that's kind of where I lean towards the possibility of false accusations for anything, for that matter. Not rape charges, anything in general.
It obviously can exist.
The people that like, oh, there was a swastika painted on my car, and like, oh, that's terrible. Especially if it was someone who was Jewish or black or something. But then, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but let's say half those cases, maybe way less, like come back with like, oh, I did it to myself.
Yeah. And like, so like they'll paint a swastika or something, and then it turns out that like there was this
did it.
Like there was this couple of two women who like burned their own house down to try to say like it was like,
and claim it as a hate crime.
Yeah, and then it turns out that they were the ones who did it. So I don't want to generalize and say all these people do this or all these people do that, but some people lie for individual motives and nonsense. So
I think it's that I feel like the initial thing is done to be a smaller event. Excuse me. It's done to be something that doesn't make national headlines. Like they might like, oh man, look at this hate that exists, but they're trying to keep it within their community.
Sure.
And whether it's a cry for help or for pity or something, whatever it is, whatever reason they have behind it, I'm sure it's for that community only. But once it becomes national headlines, that's when I think those people say, I wasn't, this was a fake thing. I wasn't trying to do this. Right. I was just trying to get this to happen, or maybe they did have a problem that they're trying to get attention to in their community more than everywhere.
I think people who kind of pull these stunts, like, let's pretend that all this Kavanaugh stuff is a concoction of the Democrats or left or whatever. I hate just broadly painting on this podcast these people who I disagree with as evil and yada, yada, yada.
It's pretty easy.
I usually just keep that to when I'm not on the air.
I'll do it for you. It was them.
Thanks. No, what I'm saying is, I think even if they're lying, or if someone who burns their own house down, or who draws a swastika and it turns out fake, I think these people are so set in their ideas that even though they know they're lying, they still think it's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. They think like, hey, there's Nazis out there, so if I draw a swastika, that will bring to light these Nazis. But then,
It's inflating it.
yeah, exactly. But they think they're still doing a good thing. They're saying, you know what, I'm lying, but it's for the greater good. I'm going to burn my house down to show that white nationalists are a huge problem. But they didn't do it. And then so all these problems, maybe I don't say all, I don't.
Creates
there
further
definitely
division.
are white nationalist problems, obviously. Yeah. That's a bad thing. But I think these people, even though they're lying and doing these awful things, they think it's for the greater good. And that's how they're like twisting, you know, their own thing.
Reality.
They're twisting their own reality and motives to try to justify it, and they think they're the right guys.
Yeah.
Like people who at like a Milo Yiannopoulos event who like punch people in the face, like who for just wearing a MAGA hat. They think that they're the good guys, just walking around punching people. They're like, I'm gonna get these Nazis.
Yeah, and I still don't get. I don't know the viewpoints of Richard Spencer, whatever. Right? He's like the guy.
He's like the head of
and
the
it sounds like
alt-right.
he's a pretty bad person.
Yeah.
to my understanding. But
He's a socialist, by the way.
no matter what, if his opinions are terrible, if he's not doing violence or invoking violence, then why are you bringing him violence?
I got into a million arguments on Facebook, and people called me like a sympathizer with him, which I'm definitely not.
Are you a rape apologist?
I'm
Are you a Nazi apologist?
I'm definitely not. I think they're some of the worst people in the world. But I got
Hitler
into,
did nothing wrong.
we're getting taken off the internet.
I'm kidding.
But I got into a million things like, hey, if you want to defeat the alt-right, which I think should happen, walking around and punching them isn't the way to do it.
That causes further divide, further problems, further...
In a weird kind of way, he can then go to all his alt-right friends and say, they can't defeat my ideas, they have to resort to violence.
It gives reason and it proves points.
Yes. I don't want to say any of his points are correct because I don't really think any of them are.
No,
He's
but-
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, he can then go and say, my ideas are so good they can't beat them, that people actually have to physically punch me to try to beat me. But then you have people who actually will say, I want to debate you, but then Richard Spencer knows he'll lose a real debate and then he won't do it. So, like, him getting punched in the face probably made more alt-right people. And I think that's bad. I think you should be in a free market of ideas. And I think his ideas will crumble under the full weight of the sunlight and scrutiny.
It's like when you go to call someone crazy, like, hey, man, or girl. Or
Did you
not.
just assume my gender?
No genders here. Hey, it... Hey, person. You're crazy. And then they say, I'm not crazy, and they flip the table that has all these things on it. And you're like, you're kind of showing it right now.
Hey, it. Jesus. Oh, my. Okay. No, I agree with you. You are right. I think we'll wrap it up at Hey, it. Thank you very much for tuning in to Thought Patrol this week. I'm sorry it was a little bit late, but I know most people will probably watch this tomorrow. Once again, we will be back next week, hopefully a little bit earlier. And do you yoo-hoo.
When we say next week, that means possibly 5 weeks from now.
Most likely. Drink yoo-hoo.
All right. Transitioning it, turning our audio off, and I'll put some music on. It doesn't matter. There we go.